Hello class, my name is Marsden, and Professor Walker asked me to talk a little bit about motivational speaking, which is our topic of discussion for this week. I have a little bit of experience with motivational speaking. In fact, I plan on doing my doctoral studies in motivational psychology. In my opinion, motivational speaking is the most powerful method of public speaking. Then, what is motivational speaking? People oftentimes mistake or conflate motivational speaking with persuasive speaking. But I'm going to distinguish what I feel are the defining differences between the two. One definition of motivation is to provide a person with a motive or incentive to do something. And to me, this definition captures the essence of motivational speaking perfectly. Persuasive speaking evokes some of the same emotions that motivational speaking. In fact, both modes attempt to evoke the audience into some sort of action. But persuasive speaking is more about belief in the speaker or presenter, whereas motivational speaker is about cultivating belief in one's audience members. Motivational speaking is about instilling hope, empowerment, self-realization, self-esteem, self-fulfillment, self-identification, and hope in the audience members. Like persuasive speaking, motivational speakers, we intend to invoke action, and the speaker generally has some sort of goal in mind for the audience. When I speak persuasively, I'm trying to get the audience to agree with my point of view. I'm trying to sway them to my opinion. When I was a young minister, I had many opportunities to speak in this manner. However, as I matured, I came into the belief that persuasive speaking is not always the best method to get one's message across. In fact, I came to believe that motivational speaking is the best art of public speaking because I believe that it transitions across all populations and in all settings. So how do I motivate my audience through speech? The most effective way is to connect with your audience through emotions or through shared personal experiences. For that reason, I often begin my motivational speech with a story. Audiences love narratives, and if they relate to the topic at hand, you can inspire great emotions within them. However, the story has to be true, authentic, and genuine. Numerous speakers make the mistake of hearing a story that inspired them or that roused the audience to some type of emotion, and they just cannot wait to find some way to incorporate it into their own method of speaking. But audiences can detect when a story is not yours. They can detect when a story is disingenuous. And more than anything, they can detect when the story has nothing to do with the topic at hand. So for me, I come into the belief that the best way to connect with my audience is to tell a story from my own personal experiences, because to me, the most powerful stories are embedded in our own personal experiences. And I'm confident that personal and shared experiences are the best way, the best methods to connect to your audience. For instance, before my injuries, I had planned to work with populations of at-risk and troubled teens, reforming drug dealers and gang members, and re-entering parolees re-entering into society. I have a great deal of shared experiences with these populations, and I feel that gives me a more effective way of connecting to them. Oftentimes when I appeared before these populations, they immediately mistook me or felt as if I would have no relatability to them. I relished in that because to me, all it did was increase my effectiveness and increase my credibility when I began to tell my story. I love it when audiences underestimate me because then the power of my speech, the effectiveness of what I tell them last with them longer than if I just came in with some scripted speech for them. So let me show you how I begin a motivational speech. Take, for instance, if I was talking to a group of at-risk teens, reforming gang members, or parolees entering back into society. I begin with the story something like this. I want to talk to you a little bit about a young man who grew up in a gang-infested Darwinian type of environment. I want to talk to you about a young man who grew up a small kid, and the dysfunctioning of his environment often collapsed upon him. Now, this particular young man grew up in, all his life in this neighborhood. He was bullied because in this neighborhood the strong took advantage of the weak. He was a small kid, and everywhere he turned he had to fight his way, fight his way. And it was enough that he had to do that in his environment. But then he was in a dysfunctional home. He was raised by a single mother who was on welfare with 3 small children and doing her very best to keep her head above water. And oftentimes her frustrations were taken out on her children because she did to her son what she saw her mother do to her uncle. This kid was told over and over again, you're nothing, you're never going to be nothing. Your father was nothing, and you're going to be nothing just like him. But those weren't the terms she used. She used vulgarities that struck at the very heart and nerve of it. Even as an adult, every time he failed, every time he ran into trouble, every time he was facing a crisis, he could hear those voices reverberate in his head that you're nothing, you're never going to be nothing. Father was nothing, and you're going to be nothing just like him. He suffered emotionally. The kid that was molested by his uncle when he was a little boy, and all of his life he was this secret keeper. He had those emotions bottled up inside him. I thought, who was he going to tell? And so, like so many other people, those emotions manifested into aberrant behaviors, and all people could see was behavior. But no one took the time to try to peel behind the curtain and see what was actually the cause, what was actually lying beneath the mask that this young man was wearing. This young man got in trouble as a kid. Young man even eventually became a felon because he tried so desperately to fit in with a derogatory pride. Tried so vehemently to become a part of the group because he needed protection and he needed acceptance. Everything about this young man's past said that he'd be just another statistic, that he'd be just another person locked up and thrown away, that he indeed would self-fulfill the prophecy that his mother said about him, that he was nothing, that he was never going to do nothing, that he would follow in the footsteps of his father, and that the two of them would share a future of nothingness. Somehow this young man found something that fueled him, something that within him said that I'll never give up. I'll never allow that story to come to fulfillment. The young man found his way back to college, ended up with 4 degrees, found his way back into society, ended up owning his own businesses. And the young man found strength to become everything that people said he couldn't be. I wonder if any of you have any type of shared experiences with your young man. I wonder if you too have found yourself walking in the same path. I'm going to tell you that that's not a story that I made up, but I'm going to tell you that's the life that I've actually lived. I've just given you part of the story, part of the elements that I draw into a motivational speech. And if I'm talking to those populations, immediately we have a connectedness because we have shared experiences and they know they can relate and they understand that I'm not just a lecturer, but I'm somebody who has actually shared their background. Now, if I was talking to a group of disabled people, then I'd tell a whole other story. If I was talking to a group of working professionals, then I would approach them differently. But whatever my audience needs, I have a story that connects with them. And when I connect with my audience, then I can do what a motivational speech is intended to do. It is intended to leave your audiences with strength and skills that they did not have before your speech began. And then one of the most important elements of a motivational speech is your wrap up, or what they call a summary. Because you have to leave your audience inspired. You have to leave them strong. You have to leave them full of hope. You have to leave them inspired, self-fulfilled, empowered, and ready to tackle whatever it is that faces them. You have to leave them in the belief that they are stronger after they walked out of your audience than they were before they came in. Motivational speeches are powerful. They can make people, inspire people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't have thought that they could do. It can make them understand that they're not alone. It can make them understand that their experiences, although unique, that they are not alone in them, that others have walked in those same paths. It can make them understand that they have someone with whom they can identify. And when you have that, when you have a shared belief, when you have shared experiences, and when you have hope and belief in yourself, I believe that you can do anything. So these are just a few elements of motivational speaking that I use, a few tools that I use when I'm in front of an audience and I'm giving a motivational speech. Hopefully these things will help you. Hopefully you can take something from this presentation that will help you be a more effective motivational speaker. And hopefully when you stand before audiences and doing a motivational speech, that you're not trying to sway them to any opinion, that you're not trying to lead them to any ultimate end. But what you're trying to do is empower them to do whatever it is that they did not believe that they could